And he's only gone and done it again, beating the washed allegations, beating Mateus Gamrot, winning in Brazil. If you're an Oliveira fan, this is exactly what we need. For Poatan to win last week, Oliveira to win this week, it's a fucking dream in the UFC. Aldo retiring as well. It was good to see Jose Aldo finally get some sort of retirement ceremony. So it's been a good day for Brazilians, man. Now I'm going to be breaking down UFC Rio. I thought this was a sick card. I saw a few people complaining, but there was a shit ton of finishes. Oliveira gets the win. UFC's in a good spot right now, man. This card I thought was one of the best Brazilian cards I've had in recent history. And yeah, Oliveira back in the winning column as well. We'll start off with Saaiman Oliveira versus Luan Lacerda. Luan Lacerda gets the submission in the second round. Yeah, this is I thought this was a really fun fight for what it lasted. Luan Lacerda eventually gets the armbar after like multiple different reversals from both fighters, because obviously Saaiman Oliveira, he's got a good BJJ too, but I thought this was a really good fight. Yeah, it was really fun. Both guys were swinging on the feet. Both guys were, you know, throwing everything into every shot. Both guys having success with the grappling, and then you get the finish off top with Luan Lacerda. Saaiman Oliveira, I mean, what are we going to do without this fella? Shows up once a year, if that, you know, usually shows up once a year. Misses weight by, what was it, 8 pounds on this occasion as well. Loses. Thank you, Oliveira. You know, he's definitely not going to be sitting in the UFC again, but 0-4 in the UFC. Missed weight a few times as well. Doesn't really fight that often. Probably on paper the worst UFC fighter in everything into account. But regardless, it was a fun little fight. Lacerda gets the job done. Looked good, was landing on Saaiman Oliveira. His grappling looked crisp in this fight as well. Got the job done. And yeah, I thought it was a fun fight and a good finish by Luan Lacerda. Then we had Julia Polastri versus Karoline Kowalkiewicz. Yeah, Julia Polastri might be one of my favourite women MMA fighters right now. She gets the finish in the third round. This was a pretty dominant performance from Polastri. The entire fight just walking down Kowalkiewicz. And just kind of picking her apart with the boxing. Kowalkiewicz's defense wasn't, you know, he basically wasn't existent, which for women MMA fighters is kind of a bit of a theme. Just walking her down, smacking her in the face. No defense at all from Kowalkiewicz, but I thought it was a really fun fight. Both women are all offense, no defense. To be fair, Julia Polastri's defense didn't really exist as well. There were multiple times when Kowalkiewicz would kind of back her up swinging and have a lot of success because Polastri just wouldn't move ahead. But yeah, it was a really fun fight. All offense, no defense, but yeah, Polastri's a beast. I mean, you go back to a fight with Lupita Godinez in the third round, she was walking down the Peter Godinez, and then this, just always walking forward with effective boxing, forcing a dogfight. I'm a massive fan of Julia Polastri. I don't mind the idea of retirement for Kowalkiewicz, man. I saw somebody on Twitter say, you know, Kowalkiewicz should have put the gloves down, and I agree. I think she's, what, 0-4 in the last 4 fights now? She's approaching 40 years old. She's been in the UFC since like 2015. She's been in for ages. It should get to the point where she starts thinking about retirement soon. I mean, what are you actually going to do from now on? She's just been walked down and finished by Julia Polastri as well. It's probably the lowest level she's faced in a while. So I think Kowalkiewicz probably should have retired, or at least should be retiring soon. But yeah, good fight. You know, both women swinging back and forth. I think Polastri will have to sharpen up a head movement because, like I said, there were times when Kowalkiewicz was landing on Polastri, and especially at the beginning of that third round. But Polastri's a beast, man. Accurate boxing, walking forward, forcing a dogfight, good stamina too. I'm a massive fan of Julia Polastri. And yeah, fun-ass fight. And then we had Lucas Rocha versus Stewart Nicoll. I think, was this the only... No, this was like the second only decision on the card. But anyway, Lucas Rocha gets the decision over Stewart Nicoll. This was just fucking dominant. He was walking down Stewart Nicoll, just picking him apart, sort of being playful with him at the end, started suplexing him, taunting him. This is one of the most dominant performances I've seen in flyweight in a long time. But yeah, this was another banger as well. Masterclass from Lucas Rocha. Beats the daylights out of Stewart Nicoll, just walking him down, picking him apart with the boxing, landing the combinations. I remember at one point he stuck him with an uppercut too. Stewart Nicoll would keep spamming takedowns, but Rocha would have no problem. He'd defend the takedowns and then get dominant position, do a bit of damage, and then get straight back up. And then he gets playful eventually in that third round. He's just, you know, he's fucking suplexing Stewart Nicoll. He starts getting creative with the strikes, crafty as well. He was just a dominant performance from Lucas Rocha. I've got to give credit to Stewart Nicoll's toughness, man. I mean, the fact that the guy didn't get finished, he took some serious damage from Lucas Rocha. He got caught like by a shit ton of shots. He was getting walked down and getting the shit beaten out of him everywhere the fight went. And his stamina as well, to be fair. Like, if you think about how much, like I said, he got forced into a dogfight and the amount of takedowns he shot, his stamina was impressive too. He took some serious damage. But yeah, this was a great fight. I'd keep Stewart Nicoll in the UFC. You know, he was one of these hyped up guys from the regional scene. He's now 0-2 in the UFC. Hasn't had the best run, but both of his fights have been pretty fun to watch. So that was impressive, though, by Lucas Rocha. Just fucking walking down Stewart Nicoll. Definitely the best he's ever looked. Slick on the feet, good grappling. And if he can keep that up in like all of his future fights, he's got to be a legit prospect at 125. So good win by Lucas Rocha. Dominant performance, and yeah, just beats the absolute crap out of Stewart Nicoll. Then we had Irina Alekseeva versus Beatriz Mesquita. New women MMA prospect drops. Mesquita gets the sub in the second round. Dominant performance from Mesquita. I mean, just the entire fight, taking her down, roughing her up with ground and pound. Second round, fuck the ground and pound and going for a head. Gets the submission with Irina Alekseeva. That was fucking dominant, man. Pure dominance. Mesquita absolutely brutalizes Alekseeva on the ground. If there had been an extra 10 seconds after the first round, the fight probably would have been stopped. She took down Alekseeva, slashes her up with elbows, bullies her on the ground, sort of swelling up her face as well. Dominant performance. I think it was a 10-8 as well. Second round starts, same thing, takes her down, gets the back, chokes her out. Alekseeva tries to survive, but there's no way. But yeah, absolutely dominates her with ground and pound and nearly chokes her senseless. Phenomenal win by Mesquita. She's a great 135-pound prospect. I think she's undefeated. I think 7-0. Comes from this massive BJJ background. And we've seen before fighters in the UFC come from like a BJJ or grappling heavy background, and they've not really been able to translate that to the UFC. Mesquita's done that amazingly, man. Obviously, her striking's still a bit of a flow, which is what you'd expect. But in this fight, dominance, man. Took down Alekseeva, roughed her up with a ground and pound, gets the submission as well. I know Alekseeva's not necessarily the highest level fighter, the highest kind of level she can face, but for a UFC debut, that's as dominant as she comes. I think she's probably going to be getting someone in the top 15 next as well, because think about how shallow 135 is too. So good one for Mesquita. Give her someone in the top 15, and if she can keep this up, man, she's going to be one of the most dominant up and coming women MMA fighters we've got, not only at 135 but in the entirety of the UFC. So solid win by Mesquita. Then we had Vitor Petrino versus Thomas Petersen. I thought Petrino looked a bit slimmer compared to his last heavyweight fight, but regardless, this, I feel like, is the perfect fight that sums up heavyweight MMA. Petrino sleeps him in the third. Probably going to get a bonus for this. Slumps Thomas Petersen out cold. The entire fight was very heavyweight pitter-patter. You know what I'm talking about, those unranked heavyweight fights. And then out of nowhere, just a little uppercut from Vitor Petrino sends Thomas Petersen flying out cold. Face first to the canvas. Flatline KO out of nowhere. Petrino's a weird fighter, man. I feel like he's essentially a bodybuilder who fights. That is the best way to describe Vitor Petrino. It's like he had a career in bodybuilding or powerlifting, and he's transitioned over to MMA for the past few years. He's super strong, is a physical beast for heavyweight, explosive, powerful. I mean, like I said, the first kind of big shot that he landed on Petersen, it slept him. And that's all you really need in the heavyweight division. He doesn't have the best wrestling. He definitely doesn't have the best stamina. He's walking away from Petersen after the second round, like Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Definitely doesn't have the best striking, but the explosivity of Thomas Petersen, of Vitor Petrino, is enough at heavyweight. But yeah, this was a pretty poor fight. Like I said, I feel like this is the perfect kind of representation of a heavyweight fight. Sluggish, slow, back and forth, both guys gassed out, and then out of nowhere, someone gets knocked out cold. This is the most heavyweight fight ever, and it was saved by a great KO. Like I said, I was going to say this is on track to being the worst fight on the card, but after that KO, you're probably going to give Petrino a bonus. I mean, flatline KO over Thomas Petersen. 2-0 in the heavyweight division so far. Probably going to get someone in the top 15, so fair play to Vitor Petrino. Solid win. Slumps Thomas Petersen. You're probably going to give him someone in the top 15, but yeah, good win by Petrino. I think if Petrino can work on his gas tank a little bit, maybe lower his muscle mass, work on his gas tank a little bit, and obviously just his striking, I think the guy could be a problem at heavyweight, considering how shallow the division is, but right now he is just a bodybuilder who fights, and at heavyweight, it's working for him. 2-0 in the heavyweight division, 2 finishes, so fair play to him. Then we had Jafel Filho versus Clayton Carpenter. Filho gets the submission in the first round. I'm a massive fan of Clayton Carpenter. It was a shame to see the cheat go this way, but yeah, Filho looked good in this fight. Just dominated him in the entire fight. Took him down early on, took his back. Carpenter escaped, and then eventually gets the arm of Clayton Carpenter and submits him just towards the end of the first round. I think Jafel Filho might have to be one of the best submission grapplers at 125 right now. Like, obviously, you've got the likes of Pantoja, Tatsuro Taira, a couple other guys as well, but Jafel Filho definitely stands out as being one of the best submission grapplers. I mean, he's got a few submissions in the UFC, nearly submitting Mohamed Makaev as well, and to go there and submit a guy in Clayton Carpenter as well, something that Takeru Ulanbekov didn't come close to doing. It's impressive by Jafel Filho. I think if he can sharpen up his striking, because he's still a bit fragile on the feet, he's still one of these kind of weaker strikers, I think he'll be a problem. Jafel Filho with good striking, he's definitely top 15, top 10 worthy for the flyweight division. He's got elite grappling. It does suck for Clayton Carpenter because I do feel like this guy still has potential to be something big in the flyweight division, but 2 awful grappling matchups in a row. You get Takeru Ulanbekov in your second fight, and now you get one of the most scariest submission artists in the division It does suck for Carpenter, but I think he'll be back. But yeah, great submission by Jafel Filho. Dominated him, took his back early on. The second that Carpenter escapes position, gets the arm of Clayton Carpenter. And like I said, I think Jafel Filho, if he can sharpen up his striking, legit problem at 125. So good win for Jafel Filho. Then we had Lucas Almeida versus Nicoll as well. Now, there was rumours that there was an injury going into this fight for Lucas Almeida with like a broken hand. This is exactly why you should not be going to the fights with injuries. And Nicoll Aswell gets one of the easiest TKOs I've ever seen, walking him down, treating him like a punching bag, easily landing on Lucas Almeida, and eventually gets the finish in the first round, just constantly dropping him because Almeida cannot defend himself. One of the easiest TKOs I've ever seen. Almeida had zero head movement and eats every single shot. Bisping said on commentary that Almeida does need to sharpen up his head movement in this fight, and he didn't. You know, he had no head movement whatsoever. Nicoll Aswell just walking him down and picking him apart with the boxing, and he makes it look easy, just clipping Almeida with ease, walking him down, wobbling him, dropping him. It was like watching fucking Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes all over again, just walking him down, clipping him, picking his head back, and then eventually it gets too much and the referee stops the fight. So great finish from Nicoll Aswell. I'm pretty sure he trained with the likes of Joshua Van as well, so that gym's definitely creating something with the hands. But yeah, good win for Nicoll Aswell. Walks down Almeida, gets the finish. Now Almeida, man, you can't be walking into fights with injuries that fucking big, man. And if you saw the image, he had like a hand injury. It was like a broken hand. It was swollen up. And after this performance, you can see exactly why you don't walk into fights with injuries. So good for Nicoll Aswell. Gets his first finish in the UFC. Dominates Almeida. And I think, yeah, this was the quickest finish on the card as well. So good one for Nicoll Aswell. Then we had Ricardo Ramos versus Kaan Ofli. Ofli gets the sub in the first round. There's not really too much to talk about. Two low-level featherweights. But yeah, Kaan Ofli, he looked good in this fight. He was seconds away from getting submitted, and he transitions, takes the back of Ricardo Ramos, squeezes his neck, and gets the first, I think this was the first enemy territory win in Brazil. But yeah, good for Kaan Ofli. Amazing reversal as well, from nearly getting submitted by Ricardo Ramos to get submitting the Brazilian in enemy territory. Much needed for Ofli. You know, the guy was 0-2 in the UFC. He needed a big win. He was kind of brought over to Brazil to lose in front of Ricardo Ramos, and to see him get the win and get the submission, that's good for Kaan Ofli. There's not really too much to talk about in this fight. But yeah, good reversal from Kaan Ofli, gets the job done. Then we had Jhonata Diniz versus Mario Pinto. I mean, I'll get onto Mario Pinto's Octagon interview, but yeah, this was dominant from Mario Pinto, just taking down Diniz, smashing him up like Marcin Tybura did. Yeah, then the first and the second round, and eventually, just like Marcin Tybura did, gets the TKO finish in the second round via ground and pound. Yeah, Mario Pinto, dominating performance. He absolutely mauls Diniz with ground and pound until the fight stops. Easily gets hold of Jhonata Diniz, easily takes him down, easily controls him, and like I said, starts implementing the ground and pound, which is where he eventually gets to finish. Diniz has to be one of the worst heavyweight grapplers out there. I remember there was a time when he was a bit of a prospect, undefeated in MMA, kickboxer from Glory Kickboxing, heavy hands, but the second you put him against a grappler, he loses. You put him against Marcin Tybura, he gets mauled by Marcin Tybura. You put him against Mario Pinto, mauled by Mario Pinto as well. So Diniz needs to work on his grappling heavily, man, because like I said, his stand-up was actually alright, but you put him against any semi-competent grappler, he's getting fucked up. But yeah, Mario Pinto's a legit heavyweight prospect. I mean, first of all, the build, you know, he's not just one of these fat, ploddy heavyweights. He's kind of got that Cyril Gane, or maybe Cyril Gane's the bad example, but he's kind of got that heavyweight athletic build, and he's talented too. He's got KO ability on the feet, he's got grappling ability too, and he's, like I said, tall, athletic guy for the heavyweight division. I think Mario Pinto is like the only good heavyweight prospect we've got, and I can see him making it into the top 10. He's out of a good gym as well, Fight Zone in London with Stewart Austin, the guy that beat Tom Aspinall. So yeah, Mario Pinto, legit guy, legit heavyweight prospect, ton of potential in the heavyweight division, and like I said, just smashed up Jhonata Diniz. And the Octagon interview as well, Mario Pinto saying he can't speak English, then whipping out the most British accent I've ever seen. I will say this about Mario Pinto as well, I think he should represent the UK, because I think if he represented the UK, he would have a way more hype on his name, he would get pushed a lot more, he'd have a much bigger fan base behind him. Because think about it, how many big MMA fans are from Portugal compared to how many big MMA fans are from the UK? If he represented the UK with that thick British accent training out of the UK, he'd have a shit ton of hype around him. He'd be one of the most hyped up guys in the heavyweight division because he's English. So I think he needs to start representing the UK. But anyway, good win for Mario Pinto, dominates Jhonata Diniz, and Diniz sent him 2-3 years to I guess Georgia nowadays. Can't really be talking about Dagestan after last week's performance of Ankalaev. Sent him for 2-3 weeks to Georgia, get his grappling up, solid win for Mario Pinto. Then we had Vicente Luque versus Yoel Alvarez. If there was a fight on the card that I was confident wasn't going to go to a decision, it probably would have been this one. Yoel Alvarez gets his first ever decision win. It was a pretty dominant performance from Yoel Alvarez. You know, we smashed him up in the first two. There was obviously eye poke controversy. And then in the third round, he kind of just sits on Vicente Luque, controlling him. Doesn't really look to do damage with ground and pound, which was weird. It was overall a really weird fight, I thought, this one. I mean, first of all, the eye poke situation. Yoel Alvarez lands a crisp punch on the eye of Vicente Luque. It wasn't an eye poke. The fist was closed. I think he grazed the thumb on Vicente Luque's eye. Luque calls for an eye poke. Referee sees that it wasn't an eye poke and lets Vicente Luque sit out when he should have been either called off there or the fight should have continued. He decides to bring in a doctor, so just amateur refereeing. And then Bisping crying on commentary as well. There's also some weird tension on commentary between Michael Bisping and John Gooden. There was a time when Michael Bisping was trying to explain the situation, or I think they were both explaining it, and Michael Bisping's like, let me speak. And then he starts like going, yeah, I know, I'm aware of the rules. I'm aware of the rules, John. It was like they were like arguing on commentary as well. I think Bisping, I don't want to say he's the worst commentator, but I think unless he's got DC, Anik, or Rogan in front of him, somebody that's like one of the bigger commentators, he always has this kind of like power-hungry kind of mentality when he's on commentary. They wants to take over and show that he's, you know, in lead, show that he's boss on commentary, because the guy was bitching on commentary the entire fight. But anyway, Alvarez kind of just sits on Luque during the third round, but it was a shame because I thought Alvarez looked good in the first two. He was picking apart Vicente Luque, he was dealing down with the ground and pound, nearly got a finish. And then in the third round, he gets him in like a reverse triangle, and rather than like raining down ground and pound looking for a finish, he kind of just sits on him and accepts position, which I thought was weird. But he does look well adjusted to 170. I do think he's one of the better 170 prospects we've got right now. He was battering Luque early on. It's just a weird fight. The eye poke situation, the commentary, Yoel Alvarez not going for a finish in the third round, but it was a good one for Yoel Alvarez. Gets the job done over Vicente Luque. New guy in the welterweight division. Luque is beyond washed. I mean, he's going to be out of the spot within 2 years, but for Alvarez, like I said, shame that he didn't go for the finish in the third, especially for a guy that every single one of his wins in his MMA career are by finish, but it is what it is. Good win by Yoel Alvarez. Give him someone in the top 10 next. Then we had Figueiredo versus Jackson. It wasn't the best fight, I'm going to be honest. Figueiredo gets the decision win. I think Figueiredo should have retired here, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think this should have been the fight where Figueiredo retired. I mean, think about it. He's picked up a win after a 2-fight winning streak against an up-and-coming guy. Could be his last win as well. In Rio de Janeiro, your home crowd, this was the perfect opportunity for a retire for Figueiredo because, I mean, the guy's said it and done it. He's a former champion. He's fought the big names. He's approaching 40 years old. You know, he's accomplished everything. He's in Brazil. He's just picked up a win. This should have been the opportunity for Figueiredo to get his kind of retirement send-off, but he doesn't. But anyway, yeah, Montel Jackson's output just simply wasn't enough. It was like watching Leon Edwards out there, way too scared of getting taken down, so he throws barely anything on the feet. Does Montel Jackson, makes it a bit of a stinky performance. It was overall just quite a poor fight, to be honest. Figueiredo, you know, he took down Montel Jackson a few times, got the back of him, didn't really do anything significant. There really wasn't too many talking points across this fight. I don't really know what you do with Figgy now. Do you give him who do you give him? Do you give him someone in the top 5? Because he's lost to Jan, he's lost to Sandeng, and maybe if Umar loses his next title fight, if he beat, it's a weird situation, man. But anyway, good win for Figgy, much needed win. If he'd lost this one, he would have had to retire, but I still think he should have retired here, regardless. But good win for Figgy, boring fight. And then Charles Oliveira getting the submission in the second round for Poatan to knock out Ankalaev last week and for Oliveira to get the submission this week. It's a good time to be an MMA fan. Oliveira gets the sub in the second round. It was a dominant performance of Oliveira, walking down Gamrot, takes the back of him and squeezes the life out of him halfway through the second round and gets the submission win. Who he's washed, it ain't fucking Oliveira, that's for sure. Oliveira gets the job done. Yeah, I'm on a losing streak right now with main event predictions. And after this night, I'm 0-6, but similar to last week, I'm happy to get this one wrong. I'm happy that I got this one wrong and Oliveira gets the job done. Who's washed? Because if Oliveira would have lost this fight, it probably would have been retirement talks, but now he's got the job done again. He's back in the winning column. Obviously, he's never going to beat Topuria, but he's at least a step in the right direction for getting another title shot. But yeah, he just walked down Mateusz Gamrot with that reckless Muay Thai style that he normally has, walking him down. And obviously, Gamrot isn't really a threat anywhere the fight goes. Like, he hasn't got heavy hands. He's not a great striker. He's not a submission artist. I thought he was going to control him with a wrestling across 25 minutes, but he didn't do that. And yeah, Oliveira dominates the fight. Every time they grappled, Oliveira would get in dominant position, threaten a submission, and eventually gets the rear naked choke and submits Mateusz Gamrot. It's not over. Great win by Charles Oliveira. And now you can do the BMF fight. Oliveira versus Max Holloway for some sort of like co-main event of a pay-per-view BMF title. There's your big fight. There's your super fight self. But yeah, this is much needed for Oliveira. After getting slept in the way they did against Ilia Topuria, to come back against Mateusz Gamrot, get a big win in Brazil, finishing in Brazil, get back in the winning column. Much needed for Charles Oliveira. And in terms of Mateusz Gamrot, I just feel like Mateusz Gamrot, he's really talented, but he's kind of not built for the title picture of the lightweight division. I know this is on short notice and everything, but you look at all of his big losses as well. I mean, the guy got walked down and beaten by Beneil Dariush. It seems like when you put Mateusz Gamrot against another submission-heavy guy, or a guy with good takedown defense and better striking, that's where he's going to lose. I mean, he's lost to Dan Hooker now, he's lost to Oliveira, he's lost to Dariush, should have lost to Sarukian. I think Gamrot's going to be one of these guys that stays in the top 10 of the lightweight division. Great wrestler, always improving, but he just doesn't have that element at 155 to take him to that title picture. He doesn't have the striking, he doesn't have the submission threat, he doesn't have the danger anywhere. So good one for Oliveira anyway, back in the winning column. He's not washed, he should take a bit of a break, you know. Like I said, he has just fought twice in like 3 months and he got knocked out cold in one of them. But yeah, 2026 Oliveira versus Max Holloway, looking nice. Good win for Oliveira, back in the winning column. But yeah, that's my thoughts on UFC Rio. I thought this was a really good card, man. I thought this was one of the best kind of fight nights we've had this year. Shit ton of finishes, big win for Oliveira. Not really much more you could ask for in a fight night, to be fair. So let me know your thoughts on this card, and thank you for watching.